As the founder and the leader of the political party, Australian Citizens Party, people ask me, where the heck did you guys come from? Where have you been? Who are you? To answer that question, you have to go back over 30 years now, back to 1987. And effectively, it all started in my living room when a bunch of farmers and small business people got together and said, look, we have to do something about our country's governance, the politics of this country. This was 87. This is when Sir Joh Bjelke-Petersen in Queensland had just been sacked or retired, or however you want to put it. But the fact of the matter is that we were coming to the end of an era, and people were a bit afraid in Kingaroy, which is where we were. Now, we decided that we were going to start to do something. We decided to start a political party, and that political party became the Citizens Electoral Council. Why the name? At that point, is because we wanted people involved in politics, and that was the model that we were using. The following week, we elected publicly, again, about 100 people, a representative to stand for the Citizens Electoral Council, and lo and behold, we actually won the seat. Now, how did we win the seat? Well, we called on people to come out and act, to do stuff. We had a campaign called Power Back to the People. It was around citizens-initiated referendum. We had no idea what we were doing. We just had a lot of enthusiasm. We represented the first real paradigm shift for an independent political party in this country going back that point. But there was a second major shift in our life, which is something that I brought to the party in about 1991, and that was our involvement with statesman and physical economist Lyndon LaRouche in the United States. And physical economics is not the sort of economic crap that we get today. It's about how do you transform the economy in order to produce more? How do you create a manufacturing sector? How do you support small businesses and farmers and so forth? But what was really important about Mr. LaRouche's work was the philosophy that he brought, and I discovered and brought back to Australia, and that is that all human beings are fundamentally different than animals. We are not animals. We're a higher species. We are endowed with created reason. We can make discoveries through our reason of the unseen principles, unseen to our physical senses, of principles that govern the universe. You can't see gravity, for example, but you can see its effect. And without understanding gravity as a principle and what that means, you can't put rocks into space and so forth. So we have that unique ability. Every human being has that unique ability. And if we foster that creativity through education systems like classical education systems, music, study of science, study of great art, then we can transform through the education system our populations. And we can make more and more discoveries of these underlying physical principles, which are actually unending. That's what my job is as the leader of the party, is to foster that, but more importantly, get more people involved. Because what I saw in Barambra in 1987 is when the people move, when ordinary people who consider themselves ordinary decide to move, decide to organise, decide to get political and do this small amounts, you can do an enormous amount for the future of this country.
The Citizens Party has, as I said before, it believes in the power of the citizen to participate in government. And we've reached a point now in our nation where government is all-powerful, it's unaccountable, and that doesn't work. It doesn't bring about the welfare and the uplifting and the benefit of the nation. And so the strategy is, for us, is to hold government to account, to believe in, and fight for principle, to fight for truth, and to impart that to the population and empower the population to insist that government, act to that standard of statecraft. And we do it. That's what we do.
What we do here that's different to every other political party I know of is we don't go out for votes. We don't go out to be popular. Instead, we prioritise the most important issues and take them to the people and explain what they're about and why they're important and why people should do something about it, and then tell them what they can do about it instead of just waving a flag or mouthing a slogan and expecting that to make a difference to anything.
Well, became part of the party because of the best strategy that I've ever seen is actually building an educated movement within the population. The reason Australia is in the situation it is at the moment is because of the dumbing down of the population. But through educating a movement, you can create political change through that process.
The Citizens Party has a unique method and a unique strategy because number one, in order to create lasting political change, one thing we realised from the get-go is that you had to do more than just get people to tick a ballot paper at an election. So you have to educate people, change the way they think, get them involved in the political process, and from the get-go that's been our modus operandi is recruiting people to a much larger battle to change the nation, to change history. And one of the crucial methods that we deploy is that we realise, being a small force, one, you can change history using a small force. However, you can't fight every battle. As General Douglas MacArthur would have said, you have to choose your battles. You can't fight them all, but if you take on the strategic ones that expose and reveal the bigger agendas, like we've done, for instance, on the Australia Post campaign, revealing the privatisation agenda, you can actually gain enormous political mileage and change the directionality of policy as a totality, not just in a select area.
I think the best policies for the Citizens Party are those ones that are going to allow us to completely rebuild Australia and create a real future. And of course, the most necessary one for that is actually the new Public National Credit Bank.
If we're going to direct our nation, we need to control banking. We need to issue credit to direct it where it needs to go, rather than into real estate bubbles or any other nonsense. We need infrastructure projects. The only way we're going to get people into solid jobs, having a decent living, being able to support a family on an average wage. We used to be able to do that. On one average wage, you used to be able to support a family. Now you need both mum and dad out there struggling just to pay the mortgage. So at the end of the day, if we have manufacturing, if we build infrastructure projects, we'll be able to get our nation out of the mess.
One of the main things I particularly admire the Citizens Party has with regarding its policies is that they are always looking at long term. Talking about the railway network, the public good regarding the water development through Queensland into Central Australia. These are all massive projects that focus clearly on the long term. Too much of modern day politics must focus on the short term, and so I'm really impressed with the long term approach that the Citizens Party has that puts the public good front and centre. And in doing so, they make all their arguments and their policies very transparent through educating all of its readers and viewers.
As the research director of the Citizens Party, I'm involved in overseeing the research we do to make sure that when you read our publications and our press releases, you know that the people who wrote it know that they're telling the truth, right? We want people to know that we put total stock on absolute credibility. Doesn't mean you might not make a few mistakes, etc., but we're committed to telling the truth. And that takes a lot of work. We do a lot of research, right? Not a little bit, a lot. And the party's been going for close to 33 years now, so there's a body of research behind us. Plus we have international collaboration with other groups that have done enormous research as well. And we know the people who've done the research, and we can attest to their credibility. We can vouch for them. So yeah, we bring that work ethic to bear on the subjects we dig into, and that's why we have a lot of very firm opinions and things that we say and intervene on quite forcefully, because we know it to be the truth, right? That's my job, is to make sure that we keep that up.
Well, as far as supporting the general welfare of the people, I reckon that's important, because I've sort of been, well, basically since 1973, I could see how Australia was getting set up to be sold out, and from what I've come across, the Citizens Party are the only party that's sort of got the moral courage, guts and vision to stand up against that and look into the issues at a deeper level. And I like that.
They're committed to actually seek the truth, to expose the truths that they discover, and the truth being naming the names, exposing the game, but also putting up a policy solution to the dilemma that we're facing.
My interest in the party has never waned, because the people in the party that work from the party as a permanent actually put a lot of effort and all their life into that, making things happen in this country that would otherwise not even get a mention. You probably never realise how much policy they affect and change for the betterment of people that don't even know we're about.
The people we need in the Citizens Party are people with morality, who understand about humanity. That comes first. Not self-interest, not their own power, not their own wealth. All of those things come for people who work hard. You don't have to be a thief or a crook or a liar. Honesty, integrity, they mean a lot. They mean a lot to me. But in politics today, they mean nothing. And that's a shame.
So I wasn't political before joining the Citizens Party, so it was a big identity change for me. But once I delved into it and asked questions, I realised I'm going to go full bore, and I have ever since, and haven't regretted it, and love what we do. Why we become political is to change the culture of our society, and we change it within ourselves in the process, and that's really important. Otherwise we might tend to give up if we're not becoming better people in the process.
Integrity, again, is what sets the Citizens Party apart from other political parties. There's no hidden agenda with the Citizens Party. On the contrary, there's just incredible tenacity to get behind the narrative to reveal what the real agenda is, which is quite often different to what's presented. But also I'd say courage. It does take courage to step up and go against this machine with all its power and resources, and to hold these politicians to account. You know, how many politicians do you know act with courage and integrity? It's quite a rare thing.
We're taking on a very powerful establishment that has been running history, the oligarchical system that has been suppressing nations for hundreds of years. And when you take that on, you're going to get all sorts of slanders that may be, thrown at you because you're being, especially the more effective you become. So if you want to change the system, if you want to do something that is right, then you'll find that that's who we are, that's who the Citizens Party is. So get involved.
If you're fed up with the political circus with both major parties, then it's time for change now. You can do a lot, you can do a little. Every bit helps towards change. The public servants in charge will act when there's enough pressure. For the sake of your family and friends and other Aussies, it's now time to act.